is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Make Money and Have Fun show. Man, I'm doing this every week, and I am just having such a blast doing this all the time. I get to meet so many cool people who are in their business. They're making a ton of money, and they're having so much fun, and they're just out here sharing it with the world. And that's really why I started this show, is because I wanted to do more sharing. I wanted to bring my network, my friends, and my mentors to all of you to give you as much access to them as I can. And today I have a really awesome guest. And here's the really fun thing about this platform that we're on, is that you actually have the opportunity to interact directly with this guest. So there's a couple of things that you can do. The first thing is, if you're streaming us live, whether we're on Facebook or we're on YouTube, you can actually just drop a comment right in the comments, and I can bring it up on screen. So if you have a question, write your question in the comments. I'll bring it up on screen and we'll get it answered for you. But the second thing that's really, really cool is I actually have some VIP backstage access for some of you. So if you want to come backstage with us and be brought right on camera to actually ask your question live to Alec, all you would have to do is text the word Alec for my guest today, Mr. Stern, who I'm going to introduce in just a minute, to my phone number, which is right over here, 215-596-1515. So if you text the word Alec to that phone number, you'll actually receive a link to join us right here backstage. You can come on live and ask your question right then and there. So now, without any further ado, I got to introduce you to our guest. And here's the really cool thing. This guest is going everywhere. This show, I just figured out a way to actually get this show up on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, as well as over 15 different podcast channels. So we're going to be everywhere very soon. So let me tell you who we're talking to today. So I got Mr. Alec Stern coming on here. Alec Stern is an entrepreneur. He's a speaker, a mentor, an investor, and he's become known as America's startup success expert for performing hundreds of keynote speeches worldwide and for his popular sessions at top conferences like Secret Knock, CEO Space International, City Summit, Power Team International, and Habitude Warrior. He's been a co-founder or founding team member of 8 startups with 5 exits, 2 IPOs, and 3 acquisitions. He's a primary member of Constant Contact's funding team. Alec was one of the original 3 who started the company in an attic. Alec was with the company for 18 years, from startup to IPO, to a $1.1 billion, with a B, billion-dollar acquisition. Alec was selected to the Influence 100 Authority list by Influence magazine in 2020. He's a 2-time Visionary Award winner at top conferences for his success as an entrepreneur and for his work helping startups and entrepreneurs. So please put your hands together for Mr. Alec Stern. Get in here. What's going on, Alec?
How you doing? Good to see you, Fred.
I'm doing great, man. What's going on in your world?
Let's see. So I just raced back in the house after shoveling over 12 inches of snow.
Jeez. Where are you coming in from? Where are you located?
Boston. I live in downtown Boston, Massachusetts, and between the regular snow and the drifts, it was knee deep.
Jeez, so, man. I mean, I'm in Philadelphia. We got about 3 or 4 inches out there, so yeah, I guess we didn't get hit as bad as you did.
Yeah, so it's fun. First big storm. I don't mind. It gets old. Yeah. It gets old from here, but right now it's okay.
Right. This is where it all goes downhill.
Exactly.
At this point, I love it, man. I'm super excited to have you. So I have to ask you, Alec, the question that I ask all of my guests on here. I ask everybody this question, and you are free to answer this however you like. I usually just ask people to give me the abbreviated version. But what is your story?
My story. Wow. Abbreviated. So let's see. Entrepreneurial spirit began when I was very young. We were provided for, but if we wanted something special, we had to go and, kind of make the money ourselves. And so I wanted a moped and a couple of bigger items. So I worked hard to get those. So it honestly just started between cutting lawns, shoveling snow, detailing cars, and being kind of a handyman in the neighborhood. It was a lot of folks worked on Wall Street, so they were never around, and the house the home needed some assistance, and so they'd call on me, and I hired a bunch of other kids in the neighborhood to work for me. So that was where I began my entrepreneurial spirit. Also learned from my mom, who was an entrepreneur, and got to assist her with some of the stuff she was working on. And then from finished college, worked in a big company, and somebody about eight levels above, said, I'm going to be going to a startup with some other folks from the company, and would love for you to come with us. And I had a big book of business in front of me, and they were sort of not sure they could even pay me in 6 months or if I'd even have a job, in the early days of a startup. But I didn't go initially. About 3 months later, I jumped in, and 5 years to the day, we went public. And I'm like, this piece of paper is worth what? And so I'm like, how do I do that again? And so I just sort of went on to do several others where I was either a co-founder or on the founding team.
Amazing. It's such an interesting story how it's like, I feel like that's kind of the entrepreneurial journey that a lot of us go on, where we find something and we don't know what we have. And then all of a sudden, because we stuck with it, it turns into like this golden goose for us. Do you think that that's kind of the case there?
Yeah. So, a lot of people would say that, or they'd say, well, we were lucky, or, in several instances, we set out with a vision to solve a problem. And then once we validated it with our target customers, as early as possible, that got us, kind of wide-eyed and excited. So we knew we're onto something because in all instances, when you're starting something and you bring it forward to folks, as you're just honing your message or your pitch and other things, oftentimes you get, you'll go to somebody and they'll say no, whether it be investment or someone maybe to help you strategically, or a mentor, or maybe even a customer. You get a lot of no's. And so, since the earliest days for me, as a kid, a no means not now. And so I just remember, it's a hot summer day. I go to my mom, like, can I have an ice cream? And she's like, no. She'd give me all the reasons why no. But I do a couple of chores. I'd help her on a project. I'm like, Mom, can I have an ice cream? She's like, oh, take two. You've been so great today. Right. So I just knew how to turn a no into a yes. And so as I learned through business, if somebody said no to you, oftentimes you might have hit them at the wrong time. So you can't always qualify, or they won't be honest with you. It's like, this is a good time for us to talk. Oh yeah, it's okay. Or maybe there wasn't alignment at the time. And so you cultivate that relationship. You learn why they said no. You spend time with them. Do you mind if I stay in touch? And then over time, you can convert a lot of those no's into yeses. But the main thing for me to really validate, do we have the golden goose here, or are we onto something? Is really going to the target market early, even before you have a finished product, let alone a product. I mean, we had a PowerPoint, and we had just cobbled together some things to sort of describe what we were doing. And when they got wide-eyed and excited, then I knew we were onto something, and couldn't hear those no's, and didn't want to, and cultivated many of those relationships and turned them into yeses anyway.
Interesting. So you look at it from the standpoint of if the customer likes it even before it's finished, then you probably got something good at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, so and there's, it's really important when you're going to somebody and you're going to pitch them on something that you're doing. It's very, very important to ask some questions up front, and listen, right? So if you take the letters in the word listen and you switch them around, it spells silent. And that you truly need to be silent and listening to somebody. You be present and listening to somebody, and not think about what you're going to say next. You've got to sit there and really sort of hear what they have to say, and don't just start. Qualify your audience, know who you're speaking to in all instances. But in the case of a customer, I would say, what's your goal? What's your vision for the business? What you're doing today? Where you see it going in 3 to 5 years? What's your ultimate goal? What do you have today that you wish you had more of? What don't you have that you wish you had in the mix? And you get them talking, and then you play back what you're in fact saying. You sort of play back what you want to say to them about what you're doing, and then say if we could do the following. So in the case of, I'll just use everyone knows Constant Contact. So the earliest days we set out we had a vision, right, to level the playing field for small businesses on Main Street against those big competitors like Amazon and others who had enterprise tools and resources to help. Small businesses had nothing. So going out and understanding that what the small business wanted. So I'd ask, what is it that you want? What do you want more of? What don't you have that you wish you had, et cetera? They'd say, I want to stay top of mind of my customers. I want more revenue. I want more customers. I want more prospects. I want I want people to just come back in if it's a retail location. So whether product or service, they shared all those things that they want. I said, well, imagine if we could provide you a self-service, easy to use, inexpensive, solution for you, that all you had to worry about is what you wanted to send to somebody or say to them, when you wanted to send it, and whom you wanted to send it to. If that's all you had to worry about, and everything else would be done for you to create, in the case email marketing, then digital marketing today, email marketing campaigns that would look just as good as your big competitors like Amazon and others. Would that be of interest to you? And of course they said yes. Where is this thing? How can we have this? And we didn't have it. We were just setting out to start to build it. We had some functionality, but it was not a complete offering. And we didn't wait and work in a vacuum and stay in stealth mode. We got out there and told them what kind of what we're working on, and they gave us feedback. And we initially got it in the hands of 4 customers, initial customers. It broke. They gave us brutal, honest feedback. They weren't happy. They started using it and loving it. So we saw we were onto something, and now it was just how do we scale it? And so that's the key thing. You got to get out there and really talk to your target market. Interesting.
I think that's sometimes opposite from like advice that's given, where people talk a lot about like NDAs and keeping it all to yourself and that kind of a thing. And I always felt differently, which is if you can't tell, I'm very extroverted and outgoing.
No, Fred, come on. Be honest with your audience,
and you could ask my girlfriend. I come up with a new business idea about every 3.5 hours. And it's like everybody in my family knows about that thing. And it's just, for me, it's just the fun of creating that thing. But I love doing, what you said is kind of going to your customers and figuring out what do they want? How can you best serve them and kind of bring them the thing that they need and make it all work for them. And I think that's really, and I mean, from my standpoint as a consumer, why people resonate with Constant Contact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love it. And so I'm like you. I have all day long. I come up with new ideas. I write them down. I noodle on them, and so I'll often ask people, are you an innovator? Show of hands at a conference. Are you an innovator? And about 15% of the hands go up. And so I'm like, how many of you on any day, week, or month experience a product or service that you're like, wow, that could have been done better? Imagine if the product had these features. Imagine if the service was delivered this way, and you feel that can be done better. The only difference between being an innovator and someone with an idea, if you have an idea and you noodle on it, you tell others, they say, wow, I love that idea. I'd love to help you on it. You start getting other people, engaged and wanting to assist you. Then you're an innovator. So we're all innovators in our own right if we take action. And so now you have one of those ideas, and you bring it forward, and you go to your target market, and you get some feedback, and you're onto something. And so you may not give away the secret sauce. You may not talk about some of the things that would be considered intellectual property or stuff that would need to be done under an NDA. And that's fine, but the basics around what you're doing or what makes you unique, your unique value proposition of what you're doing versus what's already out there, you could be sharing that, and you can be getting feedback, and they're going to tell you what they want in relationship to what's already out there. So I'm a big fan and proponent of just getting out as early as possible and start to get that feedback, prototype something. You can 3D print things out of plastics, in some cases even metals, to show something if it's a product, something physical, and if it's a service, you can talk through and talk about what's being done today and what makes you unique, and so those conversations could be had long before you're trying to see if there's something that you would go and trademark or patent and get some formal support for your idea with intellectual property.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I couldn't agree more with the method behind it. When was Constant Contact actually started?
So 1997, 98, roughly. So, okay. And we were an overnight success in 18 years.
Okay, that's not that's a pretty decent night.
So and so we year 10 we went public, in year 18 we sold for 1.1 billion, and wow. And I mean, the key thing, we had three of us in an attic when we started, and we put together an incredible management team that came in, and we had 1,500 employees. We had 750,000 customers at the time. Now it's over 1 million, but we were about 400 million in sales. But we also had 8,000 channel partners. And so one of the things that the scale opportunity, if you're working with small businesses on Main Street, you can't go knocking on doors to talk to them, because that's not going to really scale. And if you're going to go get funding and other things, and someone says, how are you going to scale? The answer is not hire 100 salespeople. When it's a free service or $20 a month starting point, that's going to be a lot of doors to be knocked and a lot of sales to be made to try to cover the cost of a sales team. And so really the key thing is, is in scaling, in this case, partnerships, strategic alliances, affiliates, channel partners. We had over 8,000, and when Constant Contact started, we were at 100% channels. Now, I mentioned, I went out and got 4 customers, and I'll just make one other point about that. Initially, you don't want to go to your family and friends. You don't want to go to people you don't want to go people that you've done business with before, because they're all going to say, oh, if I brought it to my family, honey, oh, that's amazing. You're going to be so successful. In some instances, funny story there. But then you go to total strangers, and you'll get brutal, honest feedback, right? So you do what I suggested earlier, where you lead with asking them some questions, and then you share back what you're going to do, and you get their feedback, and of course, then you sign them on to be customers. And those 4 that we brought on, it would break. We'd find bugs. They were in need of new features. Like, we were getting brutal, honest feedback, and that's key. But the great thing is, we had 4 who got wide-eyed with what we were doing, saw the value in what we were doing, would talk to that value. So we had references, some case study success stories. So now go to start to want to talk to partnership, partners to partnering. And so to partner with us. So the bottom line was that people would always say, well, I should wait to call those partners. We haven't really done enough. And the bottom line is, it could take 6 months to a year to close a big partner. So why wait? If you wait, you're just putting off 6 months to another year before you're going to actually sign it. So talk to them early, get going. And we have those 4 references. And so, they'd say, do you have any references? So I said, I'll give you 3. And they're like, do you have any more? I'm like, I'll give you 1 more. And don't tweet this, but no one asked for a 5th, right? So you work with what you have, right?
Yeah.
And they got what they needed. They felt comfortable, and it's directional. Well, okay, we see how it works with small businesses. Our customers as a partner are all small businesses. This could be a great fit and a good extension to what we offer. And we start signing on those partnerships. And as I said, we're 100% channels, because that was the scaling opportunity. And of course, going out to get investment, we could tell them a scaling story through, channel partners and a whole channel market map, and what categories we can go after, and who all the leaders were, and how many small businesses they had combined. And, it was a very strong story, and we had to lean into, succeeding at signing up all those partners. Yeah. But we could tell that story early on.
Sure. I think it's funny, because oftentimes I find that in business, a lot of people forget that there's other currencies to be exchanged aside from just money, right? A lot of, especially, talking about the small business or the startup entrepreneur, a lot of people think that the answer to their problems is throwing money at something, but then they find themselves out of money and their problem isn't solved in many cases. So when you look at JV partnerships or kind of collaborations and things like that, I think that you kind of open doors to yourself and solve a lot more of those problems, basically, like you're saying in this case.
Yeah, very good point. And so there are, yeah, exactly. And some partnerships don't want money or can't take money, right? So if you have influencers, right, that are going to talk to your target customer about new offerings, some of them like, I want to stay agnostic. I don't want to have had anyone think that I'm getting compensated by talking about this cool new offering. So some don't want money, and in other cases they do. And like a lot of associations and member orgs that have a membership that they want their members to keep paying. So adding value-added services or member benefits, like your service or product, could help lock in somebody staying and paying that membership fee. So there's a lot of ways to do partnerships that don't rely on money. But if it does rely on money, you can structure that to what makes sense for the business, right? So you might say, when somebody signs on, we'll give you a referral fee, but they must stay for some amount of time. Oh, and if they stay a certain amount of time, we'll give you a little extra thing. So you don't base it on day one. If you send me a lead, I'll pay you. Well, that lead may never convert. If they sign up to be a customer, we'll pay you. Well, what if they leave in the first month? You've paid out something and you've got nothing, and you refunded the money to the client or whatever. So it's just really, really important to be able to to align it to your business goals. And so it's easy for you to dictate that and set up the structure of a partnership if money's involved to make sure it works for you. And the last thing I would say with that is that they may do some things that first year. So but all partners get the shiny new object syndrome. So they're gonna work with you, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, there's this other cool thing over there. We should work with them now. Or not necessarily competitive, but they just go off to focus on something else. So you got to stay in the game. You got to ask them to do, in an agreement, to do marketing touches to the base annually. And you also have to sign in with partners that they have to do new business annually. Why pay them on something potentially, in the past and over time, if they're not going to be driving new business with you? And they go off to the shiny new object, and you're sitting there not getting any new business, and you're paying them for the existing. So again, structure things that are best for your business, not so much what they're asking for.
Exactly. It's so funny that you brought that up, because I wanted to transition into talking about investing a little bit, because I know you also invest and do some of that kind of stuff. For me, I started off with real estate investing at about 22 years old. I started investing in real estate, it was last year. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, you're a newbie at it still? Yeah.
No, it was 4 years ago. But one of the things that I learned doing that is that one of the things that we always talk about negotiating deals, and one of the ways to negotiate a deal is talking about, look, I'll give you your price if you give me your terms. And it's just this idea that sometimes terms hold more weight and are more valuable than the price of something. And so I thought it was so cool that you kind of brought up that idea of creating terms regardless of a price in a situation or anything like that. Do you feel like that's kind of carried over into your investing realm? Because I know you do some stuff with like Forex and things like that.
Yeah, so I'm involved in a lot of different industries. So I think anytime that there's so I always say anytime there's a relationship, and a partnership, if you will, you must create a win-win-win. So it's you, the partner, and whoever the end customer is that you're working with. And so imagine a three-legged stool. If one leg is shorter or longer than the other, the stool falls over. So if a partner says, you've got to pay us a lot more than you're offering in this partnership, that stool for the partner, that leg is longer, and that stool falls over. Or they'll say, well, we'll handle that first level support to the customers, which basically means they'll take a call and try to work off a script and probably not handle it well. And so they end up, the customer gets left behind. And so the leg on the stool is shorter and it falls over. So you've got to make sure you create that win-win-win. But the terms of an agreement are the most important thing. First, nothing is verbal. You put everything in writing. So you might do a memorandum of understanding, an MOU. This is what we're responsible for. This is what you're responsible for. This is what we're going to do together. And you just memorialize all the things that you talked about. Because when you go and quote unquote put that contract in the drawer and just start the partnership, you don't want any ambiguity or anyone saying we never discussed that. And one of the most important things, especially if it's promotion and promoting and marketing and a product or service to the partner's customer base, at times of trouble, or if they want to increase their revenue, they always go back to their core offering. So they leave you sort of kind of hanging there. And the other thing is, oftentimes who you negotiate with may not have full control over, say, a marketing team who's going to market and promote you. So I just make sure every single contract has something in there around what are we going to do at launch with regard to marketing touches to the base, and what are we going to do ongoing. and you just build those in there, and you make sure that it's a minimum of some number of touches including the following, but not limited to, and you list some of what they may be. And
Right.
you can generalize it, but it's just, there's some annual number of those marketing touches. Now you sign a contract. Let's assume you didn't put that in there. You sign a contract, you go and they say, okay, here's the contact in marketing, call them. And they'll, and so you call the person in marketing, say, we just signed a partnership and we want to talk about how we can launch this and do some marketing touches. And they're like, we have an 18-month marketing calendar and it's full. So we'll get back to you. Now, if we put it in a contract and say we've got a contract and we've agreed we're going to do things at launch, and we're going to do things at ongoing, and launch is over a 90-day period. And so how how do we get going with those marketing touches? And guess what? They find a way to build you in and squeeze you in to do those marketing touches. So you want to just make sure that whatever you're discussing, whatever the wants are, you talk about them, you agree on them, and you memorialize them in an agreement. And it has to just be across the board. So the terms of agreements should be exactly the conversation and the understanding of what you agreed to create a win-win-win.
Yeah, I love that. I've never actually heard of a memorandum of understanding before, but it makes so much sense. Like you say, it's, a lot of times people lose battles that they didn't intend because they have a flimsy contract.
Right.
Something that I found so often starting off in real estate investing. It's like, I tell people all the time, it's like, yeah, you can get an LLC on LegalZoom for $50, but if that one sheet of paper is your only thing holding you up in the court of law, you got something else to worry about now.
Right. And so you're so real estate's a little bit different because you got to have more of a formal agreement or a contract. But in a lot of things that we do, even in just smaller partnerships or smaller ideas of how to work with someone. Like, hey, you know what? We should collaborate. And Fred, I'm going to send you some leads. You send me some leads, and my leads, the wins you send me are going to look like this. One I send you will look like that. And we agree we're gonna touch reach out to our base of our folks and mention each other so many times. And you have these conversations, right?
Right.
Throw them in an agreement. MOU, LOU, letter of understanding, memorandum of understanding, MOU or LOU, it doesn't matter. And you just put your responsibilities, my responsibilities, what we'll do together, and you sign it. You put a date on it and you sign it. And at least you're just, putting a signature on something, I feel memorializes it, but also just kind of holds each other to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what kind of investing do you do? I know that you're involved with Forex and stuff like that, but I wanted to kind of look at, you mentioned a lot of it almost sounds like affiliate marketing or like MLM kind of stuff. Do you have any kind of sway on that or thoughts or opinions or anything, or where do you kind of stand with those types of businesses?
Okay. So I'll just give you a quick general answer and I'll get specific. So the general answer is that my portfolio is diverse. My whole career was in tech.
Okay.
And since I was doing stuff on the side in both commercial real estate, I was doing some stuff in cannabis and hemp. I was doing some stuff in, I created an innovation think tank where we're creating products out of metals. So we have a consumer product. We have two medical device. We just sold a medical device. So we had two. We have one. We've done some B2B products through metals, some molded plastic and metals. So we're creating and disrupting large markets that hadn't been disrupted in a while. So I have a great consumer product that we're the Reese's peanut butter cup of the chocolate and the peanut butter being a walking cane and a reaching grasper. And putting those together into one product, so you have your independence, mobility, and the ability to be able to go out, leave a room and not carry both products with you, or leave the home and not carry your grasper along with your cane, and so we actually we put them together. If you want me to show it to you, right. So it's a walking cane, typical right. cane. But at the end is a reaching grasper that's concealed inside. So it operates like your hand and can pick up basically anything that you want. And so basically two markets, $2 billion markets that weren't disrupted, and we put those together and we have the patent on the only concealed grasper inside a cane. So
that's
we were able
so
to patent
cool.
it. So that's a consumer product we brought to market, the Reacher grasper cane. And so I'm just having some fun with creating products and being in industries that I had interest in, but it just wasn't in it before. I'm part of a venture fund for the tech investments, G20 Ventures. So we do North Carolina. The Carolinas down, us on the East Coast. So G20, the letter G20 Ventures stands for a group of 20. And we're sort of the limited partners within that also work to help source, vet, select, and help scale the businesses that we invest in on the tech side. So I'm still very active on that, but not anything doing myself. The one area in my portfolio, alternative investment area, that I didn't have something that I was doing is passive income, passive revenue, side gig, however however you want to describe that. And that's, as you mentioned, in direct selling, network marketing. I had been involved and had spoken even at some of the direct selling association conferences way back, and it was never interesting to me, or of interest to me, and I stayed away from it. But I found a health and wellness product line that I loved personally, and then learned of a business opportunity, to build a network within. And so while I'm telling people about these products I love, they're like, "Wow, your skin looks so great, and you have you lost a couple of pounds, or there's all these sort of offshoot benefits to the product line." So that's New You Life with a U, New You Life, and great product line. And they have from HGH to keto-based products, to an immune product, to a brain product for nootropic, to get rid of the need for I think it's Adderall that kids would take for focus and memory and other things. And this is a natural product for that. And so I've been involved with that and have had some great success. And in fact, it's the fastest growing direct marketing company in the history of direct marketing in a two-year period. So went from 60 million to 150 million, and this year over 300 million. And so, and then the second one, I'm kind of on the founding team of, and helping with strategy and so forth, is a Forex, soon to be also crypto, and that's Tradenology with a K, Trade, Knology, Tradenology. And Tradenology is, it's in its pre-launch, so it's sort of early opportunity for folks to jump in, and I could share links to both if people are interested. And that's someone who has done an academy and a university around Forex for over 10 years, also over 4 years in crypto. So we've launched with an education platform, with the master trainer, Dr. Manoa McClendon, who's at the helm of, as a co-founder of this company and Tradenology. And so we've got the best training and also the best trading advice, and in the VIP level, you get full access. So it's been really fun to get into that space, I learned so much. But Forex on a daily basis trades over 6.6 trillion a day.
Wow.
Which is more than all the other markets of trading, from futures to NASDAQ or to the New York Stock Exchange, to all of them combined, doesn't even come close to 6.6 trillion and growing. So it's decentralized, and it's currency trading, and so I've just really gotten into that and loving it, and that also has a business opportunity to bring others in as either people that want to trade or people that want to build a business around it.
Sure.
And so if people are interested, we can chat. We in both cases we have a great team that early in the cycle with both that people can join on, and we'll help people succeed. So it's more than just sign up and be on your own. We've got leaders that will make sure you and whoever you bring in are successful. So exactly. both have been fun, and the alternative investment category wasn't anything I was doing before, but now I've gotten into two, and especially in today's day and age, people have to find another a side gig maybe for some, spend an hour, half hour a day on it. And then I know several, including a good friend of mine who's in both with me. He had a $125 million staffing business that he stepped out of the day-to-day to do both of those full time. And so he had so much success that he wanted to make it his full-time gig.
I bet. That's funny. Yeah, it's interesting. I know New You Life very well. I actually interviewed Brian Mira on my show a couple months back.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine. He's actually one of my first mentors, but he was trying to get me into that. And then recently it was funny because I met you a little while back, and I remember you mentioned that you were into Forex trading. And then Brian came to me about Avoria Prime, which is a similar company to Tradenology. I think you're involved in Avoria Prime as well,
right?
A little bit.
I am.
And it's interesting, like you said, just the amount of volume that Forex really does in the trading market is just insane. It's like there's so much money being moved so quickly in that market that it's like it's almost overwhelming to kind of look at it all and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I did jump in with Avoria, and when Tradenology was launching, they asked me to be on the founding team and to help with strategy, and so I've been spending a fair amount of time there. They're a little bit different, I guess you'd say both could have some pluses, although some of what Tradenology will be adding in something that's very similar to what Avoria is doing very soon. We just waited on that. We wanted to get people in, and like anything else, I want to learn this. I wanted to learn from the best.
Sure.
Master trader, master trainer. So I'm taking the training courses. The VIP level gives you incredible additional things than just sort of a standard. So I'm learning it. They have the daily trades that you can do a demo account and see how it goes and get comfortable before you're putting money in, and then if you wanted something AI based that's sort of almost doing it for you, although you have to just accept trades, that option's coming very soon. So it's got sort of a little bit of something for everyone, which is great. So
I love it. So what's next for you, Alec? What do you got on the horizon?
Wow.
What's still left to check off that bucket list?
Yeah. So I retired at one point for about 6 months and got a little bit bored. So I doubled down big time. So the innovation think tank that we have, we've got right now we've got 3 companies through that, and so I'm a co-founder of 5 things. I've also invested in about a bunch of other ones, but right now I'm spending a lot of time and just advancing kind of all those ideas that we're turning into products and services that have in some cases have launched and we're starting to have some success with. And so I'm really spending kind of hunkering down there, and also just hunkering down on some of the, building the businesses around New Your Life and Tradenology. So I'm not out looking for other things. I have been doing some consulting and mentoring for other startups, here and there. So I do spend some time there and just having some fun. So
what do you do for fun? Aside from all your businesses.
Well, let's see. So I'm a drummer.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And I've been fortunate to jump on stages all over, and a lot of bands. I'm friends with a lot of musicians. So
nice.
So when their bands are touring, I've been able to catch up with some folks and jump on stage. So it's been fun. And
that's fun.
So a lot of backstage moments of some great memories. Meeting some of the people that I've always sort of looked up to, and in the music space. And I'm speaking around the world. So my goal was to speak to 1 million people during the sort of last 10 months or so, and I've crossed that mark. So and of course your show just put me way over, which so I appreciate that.
I appreciate you being here.
So that just waiting for the doors to open again on us getting out and about. So got next year 2021 will be exciting when we get everything under control. From the current market conditions and things we're faced with. So I'm really excited to just get out and be in front of be on a bunch of stages and meet entrepreneurs and small businesses and startups and help them either take their idea forward or find the breakthroughs to scale.
Nice. How has your speaking career changed with this transition? Has it gotten better, worse, the same, or?
Well, so it's amplified. I mean, I have to say, if you're going to go, so this is, if I'm asked to speak at a conference, I'll go to the conference. I'm the first one to arrive, last one to leave.
Right.
I'm present. I want to hear the other talks. People are like, can I take you outside and just talk for a minute? I'm like, on a break. I really want to sort of be present, for all the other speakers. And then, it allows me to weave, some of what I've heard prior to, if I keynote first, I can't really do this, but sometimes I'll be the end of the day keynote or end of a conference keynote. So I get to hear everyone else and kind of can weave some of the stuff that I've heard into my talks or tweak my talk a little bit based on what I learned from the audience. And so now, if I'm present for a conference, sometimes I could do maybe one or two a week, but online through virtual, I think my most was 5 in one day, and 4 of them were simultaneous. So I got all the devices going and I'm listening to all of them, and someone mentions me and I mute everything and I go on and comment back, or I go into the green room to one when they're talking about me and they pull me up to say something, and then of course I had my talks with all of them, and so it allowed me to do a lot more. I could multitask more efficiently and serve more. I mean, I really set a goal for 2020 when started sort of seeing what was transpiring earlier in the year, to just get in front of as many people. There's so many people that are stuck and fearful and waiting. There are a lot of people that are just going to wait till everything changes. What's the new way gonna be? And once I learn that, I'll get going. And so I really, spent a lot of time, especially talking to thousands, and a lot one-on-one to understand where they are with their business. And this is the time to work on your business, not in your business. Get off the hamster wheel and look at the tactics and look at the strategy, of your business. Are you on a path for the goal you set for 3 to 5 years from now? And I'll ask that question. And reluctantly, half of them tell me no. I'm like, okay, get off that hamster wheel and let's find the answer. If you're on a lane of a highway, it could be the lane on either side of you. You might be so close to solving, or finding the solution for you achieving your 3 to 5 year goal, which you're not doing today. And so it's been fun to have those conversations and the breakthrough. And so I could do a lot more virtually. And then I also could connect with a lot of people I haven't really had the time or could connect with, just because everyone was so busy. Now everyone has a little bit more time on their hands. So it's an opportunity to, really get in and reconnect with people.
Sure. And I had Les Brown on this show a couple months ago, and he gives a phrase now where he says technology eliminates geography. And it's like one of those really cool things that you and I can interact right now, and you're all the way up in Boston and I'm down in PA, and I'm just like, you can connect with people all across the world. I just spoke in Austin last week from the comfort of my own basement, so it was such a cool place to be. I've never been there before.
and as Les says, you got to be hungry.
Exactly. So he's a fun guy, but not quite as fun as you, Alec.
Hey, listen, I love Les. I'm also close to his daughter, Ona. She's amazing. And, it's just, one of the things about speaking at all these conferences, I've gotten to meet and spend time and got to be good friends with so many of the top speakers in the country and in the world in some cases. And so that's been a real highlight to really just get to know these people personally and then be able to share stages with them. And the great thing is everyone has everyone else's back for the most part. And many are just saying, hey, I was just on this podcast and I told them about you. Call this guy or call this woman. They want you, or this summit, or this, that, or the other. So it's been fun to, just to be able to help each other. It's a lot easier virtually. Take an hour or 2 out of your day, and you can squeeze that in a lot easier than, hey, can you fly to Australia for this conference next week? Takes a little bit more planning.
Yeah, I'm sure. I love it, man. So, Alec, what do you want to leave our guests with? We're wrapping up here. What's the one thing that you want everybody to leave with today?
Yeah. So I guess one of the things the first thing that came to mind, I'll go with that, is it's go time, right? Like there's no time like the present, and now is the time to stop being stuck, being fearful, hesitant, staying in stealth mode, whatever it is that's holding you back, you got to stop. You got to get out there. You've got to bring your idea forward, share it with others, get to your target market, all the stuff that some of it we covered. All of that is just going to help you get going. And the minute you talk to somebody about an idea that you have, and they say, "Wow, I love that idea. I thought of that too," and say, "Well, jump in and give me a hand with it. Love your help." You noodle on it. You bring others in. You get out to your target market, and they're going to tell you that you're onto something. And again, if you don't want to go necessarily to family and friends, because they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're so amazing. Everything you do turns to gold. I'm so proud of you." And although one side note. So when we started Constant Contact, I had 3 mortgages. I had a lot of money going out, and we agreed we'd start. We're not going to take salaries. We're going to, just the three of the co-founders. We're gonna just give it a go and work at it. And so, tell my mom, she's like, what are you going to do now? I mean, you took some time off, and now what are you going to do now? Because I previously had a company that we sold quickly, and so I was going to take a little bit of time, which I did, and then I met my co-founder and then jumped in, right? So I tell my mom all this, and she's like, "You're going to go bankrupt. This is crazy. Go get a job. Who works for free, right?" The list goes on of all the things. She said.
My mom tells me the same thing.
Right. So 10 years later, right, on Facebook in all caps, who do you think wrote, "I always knew it would be a success. I'm so proud of you." Yeah. That was Mom, right? So, but the bottom line is just go. No time like the present, and there's a huge opportunity, and there's a huge wave of opportunity coming, after all of this in 2021 at some point, and so be ready for it. And so do what you need to do to button up your business, or make find maybe the lane you need to switch into to be able to achieve your 3 or 5 year goals, and go for it.
I love that.
No more hesitation.
I love that. How do you overcome that adversity when you're in this startup mode and you're out there and you're like, I have no money, I have 15 expenses, but I have this vision and I know it's going to work. It's just not working today.
Well, so listen. There's no tougher job. I'd say maybe a mom would be up there. But there's no tougher job than being mom of a newborn or a child. I can only imagine. But from starting a business, this is all consuming. That you're going to have your highs and lows, and sometimes in the same day, you could hit a peak and then you're going to crash. You're going to hit a peak and you're going to crash. There's so much that that can get in your way, and so the obstacles are going to be there. Know they're coming. And you just got to figure out how to deal with them, and just understand that, you're not the first one to experience this. So many have experienced it before. And now you got to figure out how to tackle that obstacle. And if you're like me, you take a piece of paper, you write at the top the obstacle, you put a little box next to it, hope you can check it by the end of the day, and you don't. You go back the next day. If you haven't used that whole piece of paper, it's still sitting there, or you write it again. But you've got to break it down, chunk it up into small pieces. Get counsel from others who had the obstacle. How do they knock it down successfully? How did they fail at it? You want to learn from sort of all that experience and eventually knock down that obstacle. And then I would just tell you, you'll develop a muscle memory in doing so. And guess what? The one that's sitting behind that one is even bigger. And so you've got to knock that one down. And guess what? The one behind that, bigger. And it doesn't get smaller, they get bigger. And so you'll develop the muscle memory, and you'll be able to knock those things down. And the struggle that you mentioned, in any given day, you've got to celebrate small wins. You've got to find something. You ring a bell, sing your favorite song, stand up and cheer, high five somebody, call somebody, whatever it takes to celebrate. Because you got to find small wins. Every day, what are you working toward, that sort of bigger goal or vision that you have, that you've set for yourself? And what did you do today that you can celebrate that got you closer? And if you have nothing, change what you're doing, because you've got to work on things that are going to get you there, right? And the last thing is you got to have fun. This is not easy. I find humor in everything. Even as the ship was going down on many days, or feeling like it was going down, you got to find some humor in it. Get the endorphins of laughter going, and then give you the energy to tackle the problem, and know that you're not the only one who's been there before. And go look at all the struggles of other businesses that, that were never going to make it, were ready to throw in the towel. And a day later, they found what they needed to for the breakthrough opportunity and became Amazon and eBay and, like all these major companies,
right.
Facebook, Google, the list goes on, Constant Contact. They're all there, and everyone had challenges and some big ones that kicked in, and it's just how you deal with it. And most people take their bat and ball and go home. You get an obstacle that weighs on you, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier. You're getting lower and lower. You're going under the table, and you've got to figure out how to knock those down and not take your bat and ball and go home, because most businesses will fail for the wrong reasons. And don't let the business have the success, and knock down the obstacles and move forward, and don't let those get to you and be the reason why you stop.
I love it. I don't think there's any better place to stop today.
All right.
There. That was amazing stuff. Can we give him a hand, everybody? You're
too kind. And to the hosts, thank you.
Oh, please, come on. I love it. Like you said at the very end, to me, it comes down to having fun. I always tell people there's two different types of work. There's the type of work that you love, and there's the type of work that you hate.
Right.
And when you find the type of work that you love, it's when you're able to overcome those obstacles. And like you said, not take your bat and ball home and just make this into something. I do this show every week just because I love it. I love hanging out with people like yourself. I'm so grateful and appreciative to have you here. And
my pleasure.
Blast, man. I hope you had fun.
I did. Listen, I came in from the snow, and this has been a great experience to be able to spend the time with you, and good interview, and appreciate all the great questions, and love to hear from the audience. And I'll share out a couple of the links, if people want to engage or talk further about, some of the side gig to passive income stuff. So I can share with you.
What's the best way for people to get in touch with you, Alec?
Yeah, so best thing is to my website, www.alec, A-L-E-C, speaks, S-P-E-A-K-S, alecspeaks.com. And so there you can see more about me. There's some other talks and things you can look at, a little bit about my talk, my speaking, a little bit about my mentoring and so forth. All my social channels are there, so you can just click to find me on the different social channels. So that would be the optimal, for just one place to go. And of course, reach out if you want to talk about Tradenology or New You Life or Forex or some great wellness products and stuff that I'm having some success with, and how we can help someone join on a team and help them as well.
Absolutely. I love it. Alec, I'm so thankful and appreciative that you're here today. I'm glad you had a blast, and we will see you again very soon, hopefully.
Sounds good. Look forward to it.
Awesome. See you guys.
Take care.